Welcome to Tips from the Track, brought to you by Goracing.ie and the Tote.com. We're here at the Curragh racecourse today, looking forward to what is going to be a terrific day's racing, and of course the feature on our card, the Dubai Duty Free Irish Derby. There's a lot to look forward to. We've a packed programme of events, but first of all we're just going to go to Noel now from the Tote. Noel, tell us what a racecourse got to look forward to today from the Tote perspective.
Plenty, obviously. Jane has to do every day. Yeah, we've got a €100,000 pick six guarantee today. So pick the winner of races 1 to 6, and there's a 100,000 pool on offer. We've got 10,000 on offer in the jackpot. That's picked the winner of races 3, 4, 5 and 6. Obviously for both of those bets, I think punters will probably be thinking that Australia is a gimme in one of them, so it might bank the pick 6 into a pick 5 and the jackpot into a pick 3. We also have the play spot as well, as we do every day, and today it's guaranteed for €30,000, so certainly lots to get to teed into for the punters today here in the Curragh.
Excellent, and obviously to get us underway we start with a 2-year-old maiden race over 6 furlongs. Murph, tell us, what are your thoughts?
Well, I guess, Jane, that those people doing the pick 6 are going to bank on probably Aidan O'Brien's horse here at Cape Clear Island. He was a hot favourite at Curragh a couple of weeks ago, ran quite well on very soft ground, different ground today. Probably will be expected to go very close and probably should justify favouritism. The likely danger is Dermot Wells' Baldonnell, who finished 4th in the same race. Probably could go very close for Pat Smullen and is very well drawn. Picking the newcomers, you just wouldn't have a clue. Maybe one of Jim Bulger's there might have a chance, but definitely I think Cape Clear Island should get favourite backwards after a good start.
Hopefully so. Noel, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that I would concur with Murph. He has all the bases covered. Yeah, Cape Clear Island I think can improve for the better ground. Probably be a worthy favourite here and difficult to beat.
Very good, and obviously then we move on to the Group 3 Sapphire Stakes, and I guess the one for the sprinters, and Morak has proved an incredible asset to Vanna McCutcheon's stable, and he's lining up in this contest.
Yes, he's going to take an awful lot of beating here, Jane, I think. Now I know people think maybe good to firm ground mightn't be totally in his favour, but I think, you know, he's an adaptable sort of horse. He ran very well at Naas on that type of ground early on the season behind Gare. Last time, of course, second to Slade Power in the Greenland Stakes on softish ground. That was tremendous for him. We've seen what Slade Power did at Royal Ascot last week. Personally, I think he's going to take an awful lot of beating. 5 might be a little bit on the sharp side for him, but I just think his class will get him through. I do like Reggie Roberts' Timeless Call. I think this one will make most of the running for most of the race. It'll certainly lead at the furlong pole, but whether she'll get home or not, I'm not quite sure. I think Marek is the banker of the day for me.
Very good.
Difference of opinion here, Jane. Obviously Marek's credentials, you know, they're not really to be questioned. He's an exceptional horse, but I really doubt the horse on this sort of ground, and I'd be willing to take him on. I think Jamesy, I always mix him up, but Jamesy here, he hasn't a lot of exposure over 5 furlongs. He ran well last time. He was second to Timeless Call in Cork. I mean, Timeless Call had the rail that day, and Jamesy was like, you know, 4 or 5 horses off the rail. Jamesy only ran a couple of times over 5. Now he's won over 5 in Tipperary, and he's been second in that race in Cork over 5 as well. They're probably 2 of the sharpest 5 furlongs in the country. So I wouldn't have any, you know, concerns about him acting over 5 furlongs, and it could be that the horse has just all this while, you know, been wanting to drop back to the minimum trip, and you know, he'd be my selection in this race. You know, tough race, but you know, I think I would just about side with him.
Very good. And obviously then we move on to the Scurry, with the Paddy Power Scurry. Again, 100,000 on offer, 25 runners I think line up, so I mean hugely competitive. What are your thoughts, Mark?
Well, this is where things get very difficult, Jane. 25 runners, at least 6 from England, wide open race. The draw can be very important here. You could make cases for an awful lot of horses. I think Shipyard will probably go well. I like Dermot Wells' 3-year-old Akasel. He won the Tetrarch Stakes last time, and the 3-year-olds have a good race, good record in this race over the years. But the one, if I was going to have a bet each way, is a horse called Shawnee, trained by David Marnane. Ran a very good race last time, and he was second to More Questions at Navan over 5 furlongs. More Questions, a very decent horse at Navan, and I think, you know, it was a good performance for his first run of the season. He was finished 6th or 7th in the race last year. He's only about £2 higher now. I recommend him each way. I think he won't be out of the first 4. He's drawn 14 right in the middle of the track, and Conor King is a top apprentice. There's an awful lot going for Shawnee, about 12-14 to 1. I can't see past him.
And of course Onside Door as well lines up in that race, and Andy Slattery had a double on Thursday night in Tipperary, so perhaps a yard in form. What are your thoughts, Noel?
Yeah, I mean, in a race like this, in the Curragh, these sort of races, your first port of call is really to look at the draw. And I honestly wouldn't look at a horse that isn't drawn in the top third of the field. So you're looking for a horse drawn about 17 plus here. You know, time and again in these sort of races, you know, you've probably horses that you wouldn't consider were to drawn out wide. As soon as they're drawn near this against this near side rail, they come into the reckoning. I've narrowed it down to 4 on that basis. Shipyard, obviously, as Murph has said, I think he's got a real good chance. We also have Arbitre Jour, who's probably £3 out of the handicap. But if he went back to a run here last year against Via Ballycry, he'd be bang into form. But I think the 2 horses I would take are the 2 English horses. Barks and Ash, who won the race on his own side the last day, and Haydock behind Bear Behind. And also Discussion to Follow. He will absolutely love this quick ground. He's been declared 3 times and he's been withdrawn 3 times in England because the ground has come up soft. And when you isolate his form in really quick ground, it's exceptional. So really the 2 English horses, Barks and Ash, and Discussion to Follow, with the Irish horses, I suppose, Shipyard and Arbitre Jour to do the best for the home team.
You're covering a few bases there, I suppose. I guess looking then to the Gain Railway Stakes, the Group 2 on the card, and of course the one to look at there has to be Capello San Severo, I suppose, runner-up in the Coventry Stakes, and of course topping the London Sale that Goff's held. So again, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's great to see him out so soon again, Jane. I suppose he's had 4 races already this season, so you just wonder, will he be able to bounce back from Royal Ascot? If he does, he certainly sets a very high standard. He liked to go ground, although he won a softish ground early on the year when he won the Marble Hill Stakes at the Curragh and Guineas weekend. Some interesting rivals here. 2 English ones, Cool Company for Richard Hannon, didn't get to run the race in the Coventry, earlier one at Naas, so you'd have to respect that one. And the supplemented horse too, Aklan Emirati, a strange name there, from Peter Chappenheim, ran well, finished 3rd at Royal Ascot, stepping up in a furlong here now, and they paid 10,000 to supplement him, so that's interesting in itself. Yeah. Obviously Aidan O'Brien can never be left out, although War Envoy was a little bit disappointing at Ascot. I think he's a bit to prove now. Overall, if Capello San Severo is in the same form as he was before Ascot, I think he'll just about win, but it's a race possibly I wouldn't go have too strong an opinion on, to be quite honest.
It's great to see so many of the Royal Ascot horses out again so soon. Noel, you were in Royal Ascot. Were you there on Coventry Day?
Was indeed, in a back Capello San Severo, the runner-up. I noted that Ger Lyons said on Twitter yesterday evening that the horse hasn't left a nut since he came home. So he's obviously in good form, and I think Ger Lyons and Connections need to be commended for turning out so quickly. On bare form, without considering whether or not races are coming too soon or he's had too much action, you have to select him as the one to be with here. You would have that little bit of concern about it turned out so quickly, but Ger Lyons is a very astute trainer, and I don't believe he would turn him out unless he was completely satisfied with him. So I take it on trust that everything is okay, and Capello San Severo will be the selection for me.
Excellent. And then obviously we move on to our feature race of the day, the Dubai Duty Free Irish Derby, and again we have the 1-2 from Epsom, so I mean truly exciting.
Yes, a cracking contest here, Jane, and well, Australia may get knocked out at the World Cup or whatever. I think he should be the one here, all right. Now, he's going to be very sharp priced, there's no doubt. I just thought at the 2 furlong pole at Epsom, he looked like he was going to win by a couple of lengths. Now, on that occasion, he only won by a length and a quarter. So I think Joseph said himself, Joseph Ryan, that he possibly went too soon. You can see him playing a more weight in the game today. I think the Curragh is a stiffer track than Epsom, which might be a slight problem for Australia, because I do think he's going to be a really good horse over 10 furlongs. Obviously, Kingston Hill, you can see the jockey and him making full use of his stamina. He'll probably head for home early in the straight or even beforehand and make it a real test of stamina. That's his only hope of beating Australia. I do think Australia is a class apart and should win. Kingston Hill obviously the big danger, and of the other ones I think Fascinating Rock, he didn't handle the track at Epsom, but if he gets the 1.5 miles, which is a slight question mark being by Fascinating Rock, he's got a good chance to be third. But I think Australia is a class horse and will prove it again today.
And with the sun shining today, we can obviously, conditions are obviously still favourable for Australia. I think Connections have been very upfront about not wanting to take on the softer conditions, but it seems to be shaping up like a great race.
Yeah, look, I think it's a futile exercise looking for something to beat Australia. The form is in the book. He's the Epsom Derby winner. He's second in a Guineas. He was a class 2-year-old. Aidan speaks very highly of him. We've seen what he can do, and there's no reason to believe that he can't do it again today. Hopefully he does go ahead and do it, and we can sit back here and we can enjoy the performance of a real good champion.
Hopefully he can follow in Camelot's footsteps and do the 2 Derby double. I suppose we move on then to a European Breeders' Fund handicap, and I think Money Spider has won on his last 2 occasions. Do you think he can follow it up with a third?
Yeah, well, young trainer Johnny Levins, he's only been trained a year, so he's done very well with his horses, and Money Spider certainly will love the fast ground. He's won his last 2 races. Obviously the handicappers had his say, so it's going to be more difficult today, but you couldn't rule him out. He certainly has a good chance. The one I like myself at probably a bigger price is Natija, trained by Jessica Harrington. I thought it caught the eye when it was third in the Cork Derby a couple of weeks ago on his first run since been imported from England. But at a big price, I'm going to take a chance on a horse called Rawnak, trained by Matthew Smith, a small trainer who does quite well. He's a quite decent horse over hurdles and on the flat. He likes fast ground. He's not badly handicapped, and with Declan McDonough on board, he has a very good jockey. So around 10, 12 to 1, I would recommend probably Rawnak each way, but if I was to go for a win bet, it would be Natija.
Very good. And no, for Tote customers, where would you be going?
Yeah, well, I think just to echo Money Spider, he's gone up £9 for winning twice. you know, I think you'd have to, if you like the horse, I wouldn't let that put you off. I think you'd have to side with him again. I personally like McAlford's horse, or two of McAlford's horse here in fact, but Paddy de Celeb won here last year off 88 over a mile and a half. He doesn't look like a horse that's blessed with pace, so a step up to 2 mile would be no problem. He's running off 90 today. He's got Conor Hoban claiming £3, so he's effectively, you know, back to his winning mark. Small field race, plenty of pace. You know, I could see him doing it. Drift and Miss is the other one of Mick Halford's, who I think would also have a chance. It's just interesting because Shane Foley is obviously sided with that one rather than Paddy de Celeb, but they'd be the three for me. I'm not very brave giving 3 horses in a 10 horse race, but I wouldn't look beyond them, I guess. Very
good. Moving quickly on then to our next race, a 640, a listed contest on the card. Murph, what do you make of it?
It's going to be hard to look beyond Goviani Boldini. If he produced that form at Royal Ascot when he was third to Mustajeeb, that was a cracking effort. Slight doubt whether he get the mile, but I think the fast ground will suit. He was placed in the National Stakes as a 2-year-old, and it doesn't look that strong a race. The one possibly for the forecast that hasn't really been running all that well this year, but isn't a bad horse, is Captain Joy from Tracy Collins. I would back him without, or certainly with the Exacta. I think he's a decent horse, given the right conditions, which is a mile and fast ground. I think he's going to be second, but I think Goviani Boldini will reward, you know, probably odds on support, I think, here.
Excellent. And then obviously to wrap up the day, we have a wide open contest, the final race on the card. Anything in there, Noel, that might get punters out of trouble if they're heading that way?
There's definitely something. It's whether or not you can find it. A common enough team for me. I actually like McAlford's horse here, Glaciatura. Won on debut here last year over 6 furlongs. I think ran a really eye-catching race last time out. Is stepping up to a mile for the first time. I think will love the ground. Obviously acts on the track. You know, the stable has been bubbling under, I would guess, but you know, I think they might have a good weekend here. And for me, Glaciatura would be my selection in the last. Murph is probably going to rob it and say he agrees now. Will you see this?
Well, I did notice her running very well at Gordon last week, so would give her a good chance, and she did win over the course last year. However, at the top of the handicap, a filly called Tubman from Jim Bulger's ideal trip is 7 furlongs. To keep running over 6 in a mile, I think ideal trip is 7 furlongs. She's been running in tough races like group races and listed races. Dropping back to handicap company, she's got a good each way chance, probably no more than that. And what is a difficult end of season, end of race day for the punters. If you're not ahead of that at this stage, I think you may forget about it. But I think, you know, Tubman each way would be the one for me anyway.
Excellent. Well, guys, thank you very much. That wraps up our tips from the trap for Saturday, Derby Day. We wish racegoers a fantastic day's racing and best of luck.
You're grimacing.
Tips from the